I've seen it.
Okay, let's put this over here.
Another word that's really good is zebra one.
Zebra.
Yeah.
Really, I have no words. Thank you. Very thoughtful.
Communication is
I'm
pretty
enjoying
cool too.
And we will too, because
Hey,
the one I
Hi,
have
we
is
were
like
just
this
asking where you
thin
were.
plate of black. Oh, right. Yeah, I was asking, like, I haven't seen you in ages. I was going to give you a phone call. And if I have to give you a phone call, we have to send the truant officer. Okay?
Avoid them at all.
Playing hooky from school. Okay? Okay, here we go. Chapter 4, Tanya.
Take
Okay?
one, pass it around.
We'll try to split it. 3 here. Okay? Okay, here we go. We were last night on a cliffhanger. Would you believe it? Okay? The cliffhanger was the way we understand our existence. That God is constantly willing us into existence every moment, something from nothing. It's absolutely remarkable, except we're not experiencing it. Okay? Obviously not. But he gives us the concept, and the concept is basically given in the form of a parable, a comparison. The comparison is the ray of sunlight and the sun. That the ray of sunlight, as we know, the sun emits rays, and those rays travel outside of the sun to our earth, and we have an experience of rays of sunlight coming in our living room window, okay, or wherever, or all over, the rays of sunlight. But if you take those rays of sunlight and you put it right back into the sun, we know that it would be nullified. It would be nullified in the sun. Because why? The source, which is the sun, it's within its source. So therefore, there is no ray of sunlight. It's completely nullified in the source. So we say, just like this ray of sunlight that emanates from the source, so are we emanated from the Ein Sof, from the unlimited, okay, from God, okay? Except there's one little difference. Actually, it's huge, okay? We can get the idea of the concept of the ray of sunlight, because the body of the sun is 93 million miles away. I lose the figure every time. 93, 96. Google it, someone. Okay.
Actually, it was funny. They had a commercial
Good.
about that. She said, "Alexa, how far is the moon from Earth?" It's like
Thank you.
620 million miles. She's like, "Far."
Great, thank you.
There you go.
So, 93 million miles. Anyways, the body of the sun is over there. Hi. The body of the sun is over there. And the ray of sunlight is over here. So the ray of sunlight over here, we can experience a ray of sunlight because it has left the place of its source. We, on the other hand, because we have the concept is, God fills all of existence. You can't even speak like that because he's beyond existence. Okay? This isness of God, which no one created, the light of the infinite, which is everywhere, and permeates all of existence. So therefore, since there's no spot where God is not, and God is everywhere, and we would be compared to a ray of sunlight that emanates from the source of God. However, we are the ray of sunlight within the source, like sun. Therefore, we, in a reality, in a real reality, don't exist. We are completely nullified as a ray of sunlight in the sun. Boom. That's a red pill right there. Okay? It's like, then what's going on? How come, if we are completely nullified in the light of the infinite, somehow we're sitting around this table enjoying some kind of existence? How is that? Because it doesn't make sense. Because according to the theory that everything he's describing, we are within the source and we don't even exist. But yet here we are. All right? So here we're going to explore that. Okay? That's how we left it last week, the cliffhanger. Okay? Is everybody on board, more or less? Okay? So let me just go over here to see if I missed anything. Okay. Yeah. So he says, Kihine, that behold, chapter 4. It is written, Ki shemesh umagen Hashem Elokim. This is a verse in Tehillim. Okay? And it translates, for a sun and a shield is Havaya Elokim. Havaya is one name of God. We call it the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei. We're not allowed to pronounce that name. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, as it is written. I'm going to, right here, baby. And I'm right here on page 47. Okay? So there's a verse from Psalms 84:12 that says, for a sun and a shield is God Almighty. That's how he translated. Or Havaya Elokim. It's very important to get those words. Yud Kei Vav Kei is a name, right? It's the highest of names. Okay, as he's going to get into it. It's very important preparation for your Rosh Hashanah. Okay, because as you're embellishing in all of that those long hours in a synagogue, and you might find your mind wandering, God forbid, right? You can always go back to the meditation on Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay? Always go back to that. And Yud Kei, and picture the letters, right? You always got to do this, and with this understanding. Okay? So the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, we're not allowed to pronounce it as it is written. Hebrew is a phonetic language. We're not allowed to pronounce it for many reasons. One, we really lost the tradition, how to pronounce it correctly. And two is, we're not on the level of purity where we can. Everybody's considered to be, had the level of defilement as if they came in contact with the dead. Because one guy goes to a funeral and goes, hey buddy, how's it going? And then that's our, now you got it, and then it's the cooties, and everybody's got cooties, okay? We're all cootie filled.
So
the whole world is planet cootie,
So what
okay?
happens to the people who try?
Circle, dot, dot.
What?
What happens to people who try? Their brains turn into
Unbelievable
scrambled
spiritual
eggs.
damage. The Chavetz Chaim says explicitly. Anybody who tries, those witnesses, those J witnesses, we'll call them, Jovi witnesses, right? In unbelievable spiritual damage. You don't see it, but it is. It damages your soul. Because you're taking your little electric shaver and you're plugging it into nuclear power, and it's going to. Meanwhile, so inside your walking body that you smile and go through life existence, but there's something messed up inside. Okay? Don't say the name, but what we do is we call it the name of Havaya, not Hawaii. Okay? Havaya. Havaya is Hey, Vav. Wait a minute. Hey, Vav, Yud, and Hey. Right? Havaya is the name, what we want to use as an expression to know what name are we talking about, which really means Yud Kei Vav Kei. But we use this name because we're saying the letters, but we switch the letters, that it's kosher, this pronunciation, Havaya, Shem Havaya, the name of Havaya. Okay? That's the highest name possible. And it has
Spell it
very
again.
deep
Hey, you.
Hey, Yud, Hey, Vav,
Vav.
Yud, and Hey. Okay?
Does it mean anything in Hebrew, or is it you all just like reverse the letter?
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything in Hebrew. It's just a reversal of the switching of the letters in order that we have a kosher pronunciation, and then people who communicate in the same, so we know where we're talking. So we can all be on the same page. We say, okay, Havaya. And instantly now, you now know, you have this little bit of information. Anytime it's mentioned the name Havaya, you know it means Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, the name that we cannot mention. Elokim we do mention. Okay? Elokim we do mention. Okay? So the idea here is once again this verse. For a sun and a shield is God Almighty. For a sun and a shield is Havaya Elokim. So here it is. So notice how the verse says sun, shield. Yud Kei Vav Kei, Elokim. In other words, they line up. Sun is going to be equated with the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Havaya. And the name shield is going to be equated with the name of Elokim. If you just look at the verse, for a sun and a shield, that's two things, is Yud Kei Vav Kei, Elokim. So here it explains. The explanation of this verse is as follows. A shield is a covering for the sun to protect the creatures so that they should be able to bear its heat. Okay, now this is not literal. Actually, we don't know, maybe. But as our sages of blessed memory have said, in the time to come, the Holy One, blessed be He, will take out the sun from its sheath. The wicked will be punished by it, And I'll finish the phrase. The righteous will be healed by it. Okay? So is it a literal sun that Hashem is taking out? No, it's not. Okay? Because we are not aware of any shield around the sun. We have our ozone layer. Okay? But for some reason, we have this concept. Actually, it existed from the time of Abraham. When Abraham circumcised himself, Hashem didn't want any visitors coming bugging Abraham when he was there after 3 days after. So Hashem took the sheath out of the sun out of the sheath, and so it would be really hot. So nobody would be traveling. Of course, Abraham was like in pain because he really wanted guests. He woke up and going, God, I got to have some guests today. Third day of circumcision. Right? Normal people, 99, 100 years old, just take it easy. Right? But no. Abraham was like, he was in pain because he didn't have any guests. So Hashem says, okay, send him some angels, right? That look like Arabs, right? So then they, right, Wahmad, this is right. This is Muhammad, this is Wahmad, and this is Ahmud, right? Right. In any case, there was an concept where God took the sun out of the sheaf to make it really hot.
Where is
But
it written? It says, I'm sorry, maybe I missed. It is written. Where is it?
in Tehillim, this is in a verse in Psalms 84, Pei Daled Yud Beit.
What is it in Hebrew?
Ki shemesh umagen Hashem Elokim.
Oh, that's from Tehillim?
Ken.
Oh,
Okay? So here. Okay, so the idea here is, in the time to come, the Holy One, blessed be He, will take the sun from its sheath. What does that mean? It means God is going to be totally revealed. And what's going to happen is, the wicked will be burned by it, and the righteous will be healed by it. Now, how do you explain that? Why is it for these guys it's bad, and for these guys it's good? Right? And I heard this answer from the Shemi Shmuel. It's an amazing answer. So good. It's so good. Okay? That really, B'nai Yisrael, inside, they're really good. We really are. We're really good. We're really good people. We really have good intentions. We really want to just fix the world. We really, we want everybody just to get good. But sometimes we get lost, right? We get caught up in stuff, right? External stuff. But it's not really our essence. Our essence is really our soul. That's really who we are. And so sometimes we get caught up in like what clothes we wear and what car we drive and external, but that's our external part. So when God takes the sun out of its sheath and burns, the sun burns external parts. Only external. When a guy goes and sits in the sun like me, thank you, Hashem, right? You get burned. But what gets burned? The skin gets burned. The external part gets burned. So when God takes the sun out of its sheath, it burns the external parts. We really only want to do good and be good and have a sincere relationship with God. Every single thing we do, we just want to connect with that part of ourselves and be that way all the time. Except we get caught up. So when God takes that and He burns the external parts of ourselves, we're healed. Oh, finally I get to be me. Finally I get to express my real self. That's a great thing. That's a healing. The wicked, on the other hand, their whole essence, their whole existence is in their external. What car I drive, what business I have, what job do I do, how good I look, how good I look, how good I look, right? How do people look at me, right? Their whole essence is not on their insides. Their whole essence is on their outsides. Okay?
Come in here, look at me, look at me.
Yeah, look at me, look at me. Thank you. We got him. Okay, fine, we got him. All right? So when God takes the sun out of its sheath, right, it burns the external. So the wicked become burned by it because their whole essence is on their external parts of themselves, not on their inner soul. So that's why the righteous become healed by it, okay? A great little thing that I was, working on, which is a whole nother series of classes, which happened to be in last week's Parsha. Last week's Parsha that dealt out 98 curses. It strung out these unbelievable, terrible calamities that happened to the Jewish people should they not listen to the voice of God. right? It's just one after the other, cringing, right? Fire and brimstone, big time, okay? But, okay, there's ways to, other stories. The idea was, it says, it brings down, why are these curses coming upon you? And we all know the verse, and it should resonate in our hearts so much, is because you didn't do the mitzvahs with simcha. You didn't serve God with simcha, with joy. You did the mitzvahs. You just didn't have the right attitude. Your attitude sucked, okay?
You need an attitude
You
correction.
didn't do it with joy. You did the mitzvahs. You just didn't do it with joy. Betuv levav, which literally means goodness of heart. Merov kol. Three things. Now I'm developing kind of a whole thing of, because really I saw in a book from Azriel Tauber that he says, really that's the secret of our redemption. The redemption of the world, basically, is these three things. To do mitzvahs is to master joy, tuv levav, goodness of heart, and then rov kol, coming from a place of abundance. I have everything I need. Attitudes, three attitudes. But the question was, what's the tuv levav, goodness of heart? So I looked in some perushim, and I just looked straight in the Aramaic, and the Aramaic was pretty cool, because the Aramaic translation of Onkelos said shapirta deliba. Shapirta deliba literally means shapirta, the beautiful, the beauty of the heart, which really, it awakened me to knowing that we have to know that inside ourselves we already have that. We just have to connect to the beauty that is within our hearts. It's there, okay? So shapirta deliba means it's there already, to connect with that. Anyway, so, just a little side bit, to understand that within us, our soul, that's the essence of really who we are, and all that stuff is external. But let's get back to the topic here. So, we're getting the idea of the concept of the sun and its sheath. Covering and the sun. Okay? So now, just as the covering shields or conceals the sun, so does the name Elohim shield or conceal the name of Havaya, blessed be He. Okay? So now we have the characters, the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and another name of God, which is Elohim. God has many names, right? And we have the concept of the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei hooks up with the sun, and the name of Elohim hooks up with a shield of sorts. The question is now, how do we understand this shield and how it's working? Okay? See what I'm going to read here, okay?
It says Elohim is with din, no?
Ken Zion. I'm sorry, that's Yiddish for yes, quite so. So, yes, and we're going to understand it. Because really, din, but that means really what it is, we're going to understand it. Let's explore. So I'm going to read here in the Perush of whoever has this book. It's on page 47. This chapter begins to answer a question posed at the end. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping. While there is only one God, he is nevertheless referred to in Judaism by many different names, reflecting different types of activity that he performs. Okay? Because why should there be more than one name of God? It has to do with how he behaves. Attributes. Okay? Character traits, or, how he behaves. Hanhagot, we say. Guiding forces. When he appears to act kindly, when we have such an experience, we use a name reflecting God's benevolence. When he appears to act harshly, a different name is in order. Does God really act kindly and then harshly, or is he in fact consistent? And we are simply unable to fathom that. Okay, that's the question. So the Kabbalists teach that God, in his essence, does not change. It's only one undifferentiated light. But he did emanate different divine energies or attributes that are responsible for different types of activity. This is really the 10 sfirot. The 10 sfirot are 10 different ways how God behaves, or guiding forces, how he emanates or expresses himself in his creation. Okay? And usually those ways are dependent upon us. I think I was using yesterday, I think Rabbi Kaplan brings down in one of his books, a chess game, right? We make moves, God counters, right? Everything is foreseen, it's true, what decisions we're going to make in our moves on the chessboard, but based on our moves on the chessboard, God is going to respond with moves. We move this way, God responds with this, okay? It's always going to end up being checkmate, but the process is the pleasure, okay? You get to play chess with God, okay? So, in any case, different attributes, okay? You make a mistake, you move the pawn in the wrong place, he gets knocked off. That wasn't nice, okay? When God acts through a particular divine energy, we call him by a name reflecting that energy. So Psalms 84:12, what we're learning, mentions two divine names. The Tetragrammaton, God's four-letter name, which we talked about, and Elohim, which literally means judge. Okay? So the verse compares these two main names of Havaya and Elohim to a sun and a shield. Okay? So first let's go talk about the idea, the concept of a shield. Okay? So here he brings down later, just before on page 48, just before where it says section 2, it says, Havaya represents God's power of disclosure and revelation, like a sun, which emits light. You can't look directly in the light. It's too bright. So it's complete revelation. Elohim is a protective layer of the sun, God's power to withhold revelation. So in the aspect of din, what it is, it's kind of, in a certain way, which we're going to explore, diffusing that light, okay, for us to exist. Because if we would be in the light of Yud Kei Vav Kei, if we would be aware of it, we would be completely nullified as a ray of sun back in the source, okay? So God's power to withhold revelation so that it does not hurt or overwhelm us, okay? So now, let's go back to Shem Havaya. Where am I here? The meaning of the name Havaya. Okay, it means a few things, but let's go into what he means, okay? The second paragraph there. The meaning of the name Havaya is that which brings everything into existence ex nihilo. Meaning constant existing. Constant bringing into existence. Hoveh. Hoveh is the term for present tense. Actually, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, in terms of the classic meditation, that every time while you're in synagogue and you mention the name of God, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, or whatever, right? When you say Yud Kei Vav Kei, you have to have an intention of two things, two thoughts. You have to stop and think of these two concepts and put yourself into that zone. Problem is, most places they're already on page 40, right? I'm still on page 2, okay? Don't worry about it. You catch up later. The most important thing is your connection, okay? That's the really most important. Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses or whatever, okay? So the classic idea or concept when we think of Yud Kei Vav Kei is it spells out three words, Haya, Hoveh. But yeah, if you take the letters, it spells out was, Haya, Hoveh, is, and will be. So in other words, when you think of Yud Kei Vav Kei, when you say Baruch Atah Hashem, you put yourself now into the zone of the infinite creative intelligence that was, is, and will be. And just put yourself in that zone. It helped me a lot. I went to Panovich Yeshiva. I had to daven. I was waiting to see Rav Shach. And I opened up this siddur that had every single time it mentions God's name, it had those two little words in it. Haya, Hoveh, V'yeh. And then it had the second thing, because how do we pronounce it? We pronounce it Adonut. Ado. We say Adonoi. Okay? That's when we say it. That's Aleph, Daled, Nun, and Yud. That's a different meaning. That means master of everything.
But we can pronounce it.
You can pronounce Adonut. I say Adonut because it's just better because I don't like to say it. But for the sake of teaching, I will say the classic name that we're all familiar with. When we say Baruch Atah and we say Adonoi. Okay? But usually, we call that Shem Adonut, the name of Adonut, which means the name of master, master over everything. Okay, Bal Yechod, Bal Kuchot, Bal Kuchot Kulam. Yeah,
Yud Kei Vav Kei.
that's Elohim. Sorry.
I'm just thinking about Yud Kei Vav Kei. How many times does it appear? I don't remember that it even appears.
In what? All day
But
long.
mostly it's Elohim.
No. Now, in Maaseh Bereshit, the first chapter of Genesis, the name of Elohim does appear
Right. For some reason I thought
32
Elohim-
times. Okay?
Elohim, I thought Elohim more than Yud K Vav K. Maybe I'm just
No,
forgetting.
no, it's not. The real essence that we always attribute to, and the name that really brings about the expression of God is Yud Kei Vav Kei.
But this is
Now it was
only-
taught. It's taught in secret circles. Certain people can say this. Okay, I don't know about now, but it's a very powerful name.
But
Okay.
I thought this came after Moshe, when Moshe asked Hashem, tell me your name.
No, it was before that.
And he said, that's where it came from.
Before that.
I thought that's when he revealed it to Moshe because he said, "I use this name
That's true.
to you, and I haven't used this to my forefathers."
That's true. In Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, it was Kel Shakai. Okay, it was a different name. Okay, but it was always there. It was just a different revelation. It always existed. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei didn't exist because actually the numerical value of Yud Kei Vav Kei, of Havaya, is 26. Moshe was the 26th generation of man. Okay, so it came out then as in a reveal. It was always there. It just wasn't revealed. Okay, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei means like existence, make exist. That's what it says right here. Okay,
I have a question, man.
Yeah.
You said it means to exist.
that's what he says here. Yes.
So when Moshe mentioned the name of God to the Egyptian that perished, did he use that name?
No, he used the 42-letter name of God. Some people say a 3-letter name. Some people say a 42-letter name. There's different commentaries bring down a different name that he killed the Egyptian man in.
Because it would make sense if that has the connotation of to exist and then he ceased to exist.
Correct. But it was a 42-letter name of God. Some commentaries say it was a 3-letter name of
Yeah,
God.
but if it's a 3-letter name, then that'd be interesting because if it's to exist, then you just take one away.
It wasn't that name. It was a different name. The Baal Shem Tov brings
yeah,
down.
that's right.
Okay? It's a different name.
What is the 42-letter?
Ana B'koach, Gedula Shemincha. We say it every day, twice a day in Shachrit and Mincha.
What is it?
And you say it on Kabbalat Shabbat. It's Ana B'koach. It's called the Ana B'koach. And it's in the Siddur. It's in the prayer books of, Art Scroll. You find it even. That's the 42-letter name of God. The abbreviation is Ana B'koach. It's called Ana B'koach. Let me say the whole thing. Excuse me. Ana B'koach Gedula Shemincha Tatir Tzarura. Meaning, please, with the strength of your right hand, release the imprisoned. That's how. The prayer was written by Nechunya ben Hakana, one of the earlier sages of the Talmud. He abbreviated it, but the names, the certain sequence of letters, is, like I say, baby, it's a whole other class. It's level 2. Maybe I'd love to teach it because I got a whole book like this thick written on it. Okay, but like I say, that's a whole other class in itself for the people who really want. I should teach it because you really should know it because it's the prayer that gets all your prayers up. It's boom, and it brings about unbelievable things.
Is
right?
that also the name of the prayer? Ana B'koach?
Yes, that's the name of the prayer. It's
in the
because
chapter.
it's a prayer. It's a prayer because it's the first letters of that prayer are the 42-letter name of God. Ana is Aleph, B'koach is Beit, Gedulas is Gimel, Yemincha Yud, goes on and on and on. 42 letters. Special thing. Look at it. We'll have to have a special class on it. Love to do it with you. Okay. Very important too. Very important. I was one Kabbalist. He was one of those guys that nailed me, right? Because I got nailed a lot of times. I go to the Kabbalist, and like, what do I need to do? Just give me my tikkun, right? And he and he did stuff on me. He says, man, you messed up. You did this, man. You got to fast for 3 days. You got to say this at the kotel. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then you got to say this every day.
Who is this person?
Rabbi Yehuda. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. This was 40 years ago, 35 years ago.
I don't think you made it.
He was an old man. You meet him in Mea Shearim in the back there, and he sits with you. And yeah, man, That was real. And then I left him because after I did my fasting, I figured I'm finished. And then he came and looked and sought me. He came and found me. I'm like going, damn. It's like,
Stalker.
you didn't finish your tikkun, man. You didn't finish. I'm like, I didn't.
No, that was just the beginning.
And he says, you got to come to me. And I came and he gave me some whole other prescription of stuff to do, which was wild, man. He wrote on an amulet. I had to put it under my pillow. And then I had to take that amulet and put it in water and then throw it on myself in a clean
Ice
place.
bucket challenge.
It wasn't that cold. Put it on my body. I mean, it was like Baruch Hashem. I have to say Baruch Hashem. Okay. Anyways, I was one of those guys in yeshiva. I was Rebbe hunting, Kabbalist hunting. I was a Kabbalist hunter. Me and my other guys in the yeshiva.
And it's
We
hard.
hear about this Kabbalist. Got to go get a tikkun from him. I took my mezuzah. You take the
They had
mezuzah of your
training
room. You go to the
camps.
mezuzah guy. Right? Chacham Ben Tova was his name. My Rosh Yeshiva called him the mezuzah guy because he's from Brooklyn, my Rosh Yeshiva, right? You give him your mezuzah and he looks at your mezuzah and he sees your whole life and he says, you got it. You did this and you did that and you did that. You got to fix it. And this is what you do to fix it. Right? And I was left shaking because he just nailed me. You get nailed. It's good to get nailed, right?
Are there any of these people still around? I mean,
You say he's in Brooklyn.
There's the Rentgen. Go to the Rentgen.
who? The Rentgen?
It's
In
like a
Hebrew,
shotgun.
he's known as the Rentgen. I guess we translate the Rentgen as MRI.
Magnetic resonant image.
So like he sees right through to your soul and says, okay, you come from this guy, you did this in your past life, and you got to fix this. This is what you got to do is fix it. Yeah. So anyways,
Who's the guy in Brooklyn?
he's not in Brooklyn. Rentgen is in Israel.
What about the guy from Mississippi?
No guy in Brooklyn.
Oh, I thought you.
I don't know about any. I'm sure there's hidden tzaddikim in Brooklyn. I know there is. It's just I don't know them.
The Rentgen in Bnei Brak.
Yeah. There you go. See, she knows the Rentgen. Rentgen means MRI, right? Rentgen means MRI.
Oh, Röntgen, like you mean R-O-E-N-G-T, like the X-ray Röntgen.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I wasn't.
I guess that's, sorry, I don't know the name, that's how, I only phonetically Rentgen.
Oh, a Röntgen is an X-ray procedure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Röntgen. Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
I guess that's like like Kleenex.
Yeah.
Like
Röntgen,
it's like the manufacturer's name is on Röntgen.
Röntgen discovered
Okay,
the
thank you.
X-ray.
Thank you. Anyways, he's the X-ray. Okay. Anyways, we're way off topic. Thank you very much. Okay. People online are gonna go. Can you stop those people from speaking in class? Gosh, it's annoying. They all gonna tell me that. You understand?
Too bad.
Now Melissa's here. She ain't gonna be the one telling me that. She's okay. Okay. All right. Where are we? We're still on the second paragraph.
Yes, we're moving right along.
We're making lots of progress.
When we think of the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the real, according to the Shulchan Aruch, we're supposed to think of Hayah Hoveh V'Yiyeh, was, is, and will be. Okay, that's for the general masses. But there's higher levels of what we have to contemplate, which is really, according to the Leshem, it's really Tamid B'Hoveh, which because really Hayah Hoveh V'Yiyeh, which implies time, was, is, and will be.
Eternal.
Yeah.
Eternal.
We have time. God is beyond time. He is constantly present. There is no was, is, and will be for God. Everything is here and now. Okay? So it's kind of like, it's for us, it's a vessel, it's something for us to grasp in order to get some kind of concept of eternal, was, is, and will be. But really, here he says here, the name of Havaya, the meaning of the name Havaya is that which brings everything into existence ex nihilo. Imagine now thinking about that every time you say Yud Kei Vav Kei. As a matter of fact, I went through my father-in-law, all of the Nefesh HaChaim, Shar Gimel of Rav Chaim Volozhin. He speaks very much in the similar topics, and his conclusion was, when every time you say God's name, you pop out of existence completely. In other words, you could become completely nullified as the ray of... Make sure this is going to go on. I don't know if it's going to go on, because sometimes it gets interrupted.
No?
No, good, bad, and the ugly. Let's not go there.
That's right.
Okay.
So the prefix yud?
How do I know if it's still going?
It says live.
So that's good. Okay, fine. So it means that which brings everything into existence ex nihilo. That means I am being caused to be existence from something from nothing every single second. But really, I am a ray of sunlight within the source of the sun. I am a creation within my source, therefore I am completely nullified. Okay? But there's a prefix. That's hoveh. Hey vav hey. There's a prefix added to the stem of hoveh, which means present, modifies the verb, indicating that the action is present and continuous. Okay? As Rashi comments on the verse, in this manner does Eov, or Job, do yaseh, the yud in front of the word oseh, all the days, which means what? The life force which flows at every instant into all things created, from that which proceeds out of the mouth of God, and, this is not correct, his breath, not his bread. And brings them into existence ex nihilo at every moment. For the fact that they were created during the 6 days of the creation is not sufficient for their continued existence, as explained above. Okay, in other words, that which God uttered from the 10 statements of creation that gives everything in the 6 days of creation that we read in the first chapter of Genesis, brought everything about ex nihilo, something from nothing, but it is constantly giving us animation every single moment. Okay? So the name Yud Ke Vav Ke really is the expression of being created constantly being willed into existence. Okay? That's Yud Ke Vav Ke. Too bright for us to grasp, because if we should grasp it, we become nullified. The idea here is, once again, to get back in the question, is how are we experience our existence? So in the enumeration of the praises of the Holy One, blessed be He, it is written, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanorah. Actually, we say it every single day in Shmona Esrei, the very first blessing. We say Hakel, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanorah. It came from Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu actually said these, and that's why they brought it from Moshe Rabbeinu and put it into our liturgy, because these 4 are the classic, which basically comes from, depicts all of the Eser Sfirot. Okay? So Hagadol actually is an attribute of Chesed, kindness. Kindness is relates to the first day of creation. The first day of creation, God said, let there be light. Now that means expansive, pure expanse. Chesed, pure expanse. Avram Avinu, tent open all 4 sides, pure expanse. No limits. Okay? That's Hagadol, greatness. It's an attribute of God. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu calls God Hagadol, the great, right? Which means what?
Sorry. You said it came from Moshe. It didn't come from the Psalm of David?
No.
Magen David?
No.
Isn't that?
No. Moshe Rabbeinu says it. The verse is in Deuteronomy.
Shmo Ashrei. It goes, Magen David.
Yes, no. It's Hakel Hagad. That's Hakel Hakadosh. She'ein kamohu ameniach b'kedusha. I'm not sure where. Anyways, that's from, you're talking about Haftorah. Okay? This is in the first bracha of Shmona Esrei. We don't say Magen David in Shmona Esrei. We say Magen Avraham. Thank you. David wanted to be in there, but he didn't make the grade. He asked to be tested, which is a big no-no, and then he failed on the test. Double no-no. Okay? He wanted to get there. Okay? And anyways, the idea here is there's a verse that says, and I'll say the verse is in Deuteronomy 8:3. No? Sorry. No, I'm just... Let me find it here. Just 1 second. Deuteronomy Yud Zion 10:17. Moshe praised God. Okay? So, and then, so he praised out which really Hagadol is always understood as the quality of chesed, of compassion, of kindness. Okay? Hagadol equals kindness. You have to put that in your brain to always know that. Okay? So here he says here, I'm on page 50, okay, that the Perush of Hagadol means it's the quality of the divine attribute of kindness. God's energy of disclosure and benevolence is referred to in the Kabbalah as his power of kindness. In early Kabbalistic works, it was common to refer to chesed as gedula, kindness as gedula, the attribute of greatness. Okay? Chesed and gedula, which means greatness, are synonymous. Gedula implies growth and expansion. Therefore, chesed is called gedula, since all other divine energies grow from it. Because the ultimate idea or concept of creation, the ultimate intention for God to make a creation was to bestow to another. Bestowing is kindness, okay? And everything else flows from that, okay? So chesed is benevolent, not only in powering the creation of the universe, but also in emanating all other divine energies, okay? So ha'hispashut ha'chiyut b'kol ha'olamot u'bruim le'ein kates b'tachlis. So chesed really powers the endless and limitless flow of energy to all the worlds and creations, in order that they should be created continually, something from nothing, and remain in existence due to the unconditional kindness of God. Now, based on this thought, the Tanya now offers us another insight why chesed is also called gedula. That why is it called gedula? Since it expresses the greatness of God itself, because that's the purpose of creation, for God to have an expression of his greatness, okay, which is kindness, okay? Only God can create the world something from nothing. That is why the divine attribute which powers creation is called gedula, greatness, because it expresses the unique greatness of God. Only God can be this level of greatness, bringing out something from nothing. That we are constantly being willed into existence, something from nothing. What is that attribute? It's God's kindness, and it has another name called gedula. Okay? Now, right? So let's go on. That for it is the nature of good to be good. So if you had unlimited funds, you would become a generous person. You wouldn't feel that by giving something away, you would be lacking yourself. So since God is infinite, he is also generous, and one leads to another. So in other words, the highest level of God's expression that we can grasp now is called gedula, greatness, which implies kindness. Okay? Now going on. Where am I here on these sheets? Last paragraph. Now this attribute of chesed is the praise of the Holy One, blessed be he, alone. For no created thing can create a being out of naught and give it life. This attribute is also beyond the cognition of all creatures, and their understanding. We cannot fathom that we are being created from nothing every single moment. For it is not within the power of the intellect of any creature to understand and comprehend this quality and its ability to create a being out of nothing and vivify it. Right? We can't do that. We don't know how. Only God can do that. That's what makes God God. Okay? For creation ex nihilo, something from nothing, is a matter which transcends the intellect of the creatures, inasmuch as it stems from the divine attribute of Gevura. Okay? And the Holy One, blessed be he, and his attributes are a perfect unity. As the Holy Zohar states, he and his attributes are one. Now here's where he says the mind. Here's where he says the main idea or concept. Just as it is not possible for any creature's mind to comprehend his creator, okay? So also we cannot comprehend his midot, his attributes. Just like we can't comprehend the light of the infinite, because no one created it. Can you imagine that? It's a mind-blowing idea if you would just sit for a moment and realize that we are now, right now, in the midst of the essence of God, that no one created it. It always has existed. And it is completely infinite. It's a mind-blowing concept when you think about no one created God. It always has existed. It's an isness that has always existed. So just like we cannot really comprehend this infinite isness, so we cannot also comprehend the attributes as well, his expressions, like the expression of Gedula. Now he goes to step 2. So we can't comprehend his attributes. And just as it is impossible for any creature's mind to apprehend his attribute of Gedula, of this greatness, of willing us into existence, something from nothing every single moment, right, which is the ability to create a being out of nothing and give it life, as it is written, the world is built by kindness, olam chesed yibane. Just like we can't apprehend that attribute, so exactly so it is not possible for him to apprehend the divine attribute of might or restraint, gevura. We call it gevura. Gevura, which means his restraint. We cannot conceive God's attributes. So God is kind of like diffusing his essence, and that means for his to diffuse that essence, to hide himself right now, we also cannot comprehend. And what is that attribute? That's called the quality of tzimtzum, or condensation, or contraction, or concentration. Okay? And restraint of spreading forth of the life force from his attributes of Gedula, preventing it from descending upon and manifesting itself to the creatures to give them life and existence in a revealed manner, but rather with his countenance concealed. In other words, God's concealing, he's hiding. And that quality of him hiding, you just take a deep breath and you say, we can't figure it out. I was at my dad, he's one of the biggest guys who says, God is all there is. All there is God. And right now we are just in the essence of that all there isness of God. I'm like, well, if all God is all there is, then how come we are here? He says, well, we haven't figured that out yet. And it's true, okay? It's just something we just cannot figure out. God is hiding, but he's here, but he's hiding, okay? For the life force conceals itself in the body of the created being, and it appears as though the life force and spirituality, as the diffusion of the radiant light of the sun, but an independent existing entity. It gives us the appearance that we are independent, but it is not true. What is really true is God is all there is. Every single thing that we work for, in our levels of consciousness to raise, is to get in the level, to embed in us 24/7 that God is all there is, and that there's nothing else except God. The idea here that we are enjoying this separate existence comes from a name of Elohim, which is kind of a way that God hides himself from us seeing our source or being in our source. Okay? It's an expression, it's a quality of God that we cannot grasp. But it exists. But is this only that we can... Are we past the time? No, we're good. Only that we can somehow, in the most remarkable way that we can't figure out, enjoy this existence. But is it a real existence? No. It's an expression of God's name. It's a quality of God that is hiding himself, so to speak.
I don't know if you mentioned, so you did the Gematria, the Elohim is Ha'olam.
Ha-teva.
Teva, right. It's the
That's a
same.
very important point. If you look at the numerical value of Elohim, this is the name of God, an expression of God's quality that kind of like puts the smoke screen. It's the same numerical value of the nature. See, nature really is the name of God. It's just, nature is really miracles that we got used to. Okay? Everything is a miracle because God is willing every single thing, every single part of existence. But for us, because we're such babies, we're limited, we're baby stepping, right? We need like a stable, kids need a stable environment. Otherwise, can they grow? Right? Can't be too stable, right? Because then you get a spoiled American, right? Right? But we also need some kind of a stable structure from which to grow out of. Right? So God makes something called nature, which is these basically formats that we got used to. Water flows, right? Fire burns. Everything has the properties. Tables are hard, right? Round things spin, right? Those are called nature. Things we got used to it, right? Who says a wheel should go round and round? It's only because we got used to it, or it fits with science and the nature of science. It's all miracles that we got used to. But really every single thing in creation, every single moment we got used to, okay? Let me just try to finish here, okay? At least this paragraph. Forgot where I was at one point. Although in reality it has no independent existence and is only like the diffusion of the light from the sun, nevertheless, this concealment is the very restraining power of the Holy One, blessed be He, who is omnipotent, to condense the life force and spirituality which issues from the breath of His mouth and to conceal it, so that the body of the created being shall not become nullified. In other words, it's a help for us, the name of Elohim, to help us that we're nullified. What's giving me my existence? The name of God, of Elohim. It's helping me to have an existence. Wow, thank you, God. Because now I can do something. Now I have free choice. Now I can choose with my free will to express more of you in this world. And it is not within the scope, don't forget that Tzimtzum, according to the Tanya and most of the other Kabbalists, the Tzimtzum, which means the constriction, because God had to constrict Himself, so to speak, He had to make a vacated space in order to put a creation in, is not literal. It's figurative. It's conceptual. Really, God is everywhere. He's totally here now when we're totally nullified. And there's a shield, which is just concealing. It's not literally hiding. It's just concealed. Okay? And it is not within the scope of the intellect of any creature to comprehend the essential nature of the tzimtzum, we cannot, and concealment of the life force, and that nothingness, the body of the creature, be created ex nihilo. Just as it is not the capacity of any creature's intellect to comprehend the essential nature of the creation of being out of nothing. We can't comprehend this, we can't comprehend that. Okay? The tzimtzum and the concealing of the life force is called kalim. This is very important. Vessel. We need handles. Okay? To grasp the infinite light, we're in baby steps. And we're working on it. We need handles. That's why we need Elohim. Even though it's kavur, it's constriction, it's judgment. Right? We need it. Because it's a handle. It gives us a vessel how we can receive. We were created to receive. Okay? The infinite light. And the life force itself is called light. So you have vessels. Two very basic Kabbalistic concepts, a vessel, and then what goes in the vessel. Our vessels are our heads, our concept, our ability to perceive the infinite light. But we need words, we need concepts. That's how we function. For just as a vessel covers that which is within it, so does the tzimtzum, which is the constriction, cover and conceal the light and the flowing life force. And the kalim, the vessels, are the divine letters whose roots are the 5 terminal letters, mansapach. We'll talk about that later. Mansapach are the 5 special letters which you only have, if you have the end of a word, you'll have letters which are at the end of a word have a different form. Mem, nun, tzadi, pei, and chuf. They have a different form at the end of the letter, which are the 5 restraining forces that divide and separate the breath and force of the 5 organs of speech, in order that the 22 letters shall be formed. Everything is in the 22, you guys. If there's anything else, if you're sitting bored in your Rosh Hashanah services, and that cantor is going on like one word for 5 minutes, and you're just like, gosh, I'm really hungry, right? Or I could use a cup of coffee now. Or, or you're trying to shut someone else up, or someone else is talking, or whatever it is, right? You can just sit and meditate on a letter, or 2 letters, or 3 letters, or 4. Just Baruch, and you picture the letter, and you feel the vibration of the letter, Baruch, right? So everything is in those letters. Those letters are very unique. Every single thing that we're doing in Sefer Yetzirah class, and this, and the Baal Shem Tov, is going to go into this concept of the letters. They're very, very, very powerful. Hebrew letters, okay? The source of the 5 restraining forces is called Botzina de Cardonisa, the light from dark, which is the supernal Gevura of Atik Yomin, Ancient of Days. This is Kabbalistic terminology. And the source of the kindness is also Chesed from Atik Yomin, coming from the same unbelievable source as is known. In other words, vessel and light come from the same source. But thank God, God has given us a vessel. Thank God that within that vessel, we have the ability to connect to the infinite light. Okay? So the idea of what we got about is Havaya Elokim. The word Elokim is a constricting force, and that gives us, it only conceals us from really accessing the real divine truth, which is that we are completely nullified in our source. So we thank God for God that we have our existence in order for us to do good in the world, okay? For us to have a special opportunity to express and to become a greater vessel for the infinite light within us. We're not meeting next week because I think it's Erev Rosh Hashanah,
Right.
okay? So we'll stop
What
now.
does Botzina mean?
Botzina means spark.